We got a couple in the hallway. Will join us in just a moment. Can I have your attention? Let's call the committee to order. Members? Thank you. If everyone would silence their phones, I would appreciate that. Ms. Harper, go ahead and call the roll, and I'll have some comments.
Representative Reynolds?
Here.
Representative Blackshear? Here. Representative Hall? Here. Representative Bracy? Representative Easterbrook? Here. Representative Gibbons? Representative Lamb? Here. Representative Lee? Representative McCampbell? Representative Mooney? Representative Sorrell? Here. Representative Sales? Here. Representative Underwood? Here. Representative Warren? Representative Witt? 12, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. And just real quick, and members, I apologize. I know you've been hit with a sub and several amendments here within the last hour and a half. And Ms. Clark, I'll go ahead and say this. Thank you for working on the bill, and Ms. Hollis as well. But we were gonna no vote HB 405 and HB 406. However, because some last minute confusion, we'll ask to carry those over to call the chair, if it pleases the members. And then we will not take a vote on HB 438. So with that said, Ms. Harper, if you'll call the first bill.
Senate Bill 150, Senator Gudger, Taxation Creates Tourism Tax Protection Act.
Welcome, Chairman. Members, we called him out of order because he is heading quickly to another committee.
Thank you for allowing me to go first. I appreciate that and get to my next appointment. SB 150 is the companion bill to HB 220, Representative Ellis's bill. I deal with Airbnbs, VRBOs, and all that does is closing a loophole where people weren't paying their lodging tax if they had rooms rented from them. I don't come in front of you many times and tell you I'm bringing you money, but it says around $26 to $38 million will be in the general fund for this bill passing. But it's not a new tax. It's already there, just people aren't paying. That's all.
Motion for favorable.
Any questions?
No.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Senate Bill 150 receives a favorable report. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee members. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Next bill, Ms. Harper.
House Bill 435 by Representative Oliver, public officers and employees further provide for the benefits of the office of coroner and other related persons.
Chairman Oliver, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, under existing law, when a first responder, including a law enforcement officer, firefighter, rescue squad member, or emergency medical service personnel is killed in the line of duty, his or her beneficiaries are eligible to receive certain state death benefits. Under existing law, the beneficiaries of a coroner, deputy coroner, medicological death investigator, or medical examiner are not eligible to receive those same benefits. This bill would provide the state death benefits to those beneficiaries in the same manner as the beneficiaries of deceased first responders who die in the performance of official duties. And with that, I'd ask for a
Thank you,
favorable
Chairman.
report.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Your bill receives a favorable report.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Next bill, Ms. Harper.
House Bill 440 by Representative Shedd, ERS benefit increase for certain retirees on October 1, 2024.
Chairman Shedd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for having me today. This bill, I think most of you are familiar with it already, but it provides a 3% benefit to retired state and local employees coming from their budget. You recall Representative Klaus had HB 201 that passed this committee and passed the House earlier, and so this requires the provisions of that HB 201 to be followed, implementing this increase. It comes through the agencies. On the local employees, the cities, counties, and entities have an opportunity to opt in. But and I would say that every year the legislature does not want to fund this increase. It would not have to. So I would ask for a favorable report, Mr. Chairman.
Any question by committee members? Representative Mooney.
I just had a question. Is this giving an option to the local people to be able to do it?
Yes.
Or is it requiring?
Option. They can opt in.
So who would be the groups that, I guess I'm a little confused. I was confused when I read it. applies to retirees they're already retired.
Right.
But what's the differentiation between the state budget and the local budget?
Well, the state budget, it would come out of the agency budget. The locals it would come out of their budgets. So they would have the opportunity to opt in or whether they wanted to do that or not. Cities, counties, and entities on the local level.
If they wanted to participate in helping.
Right.
Or to award that COLA to their employees, correct, Mr.
correct.
Chairman?
That's correct.
Any other questions?
No questions. I was just going to make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion. Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Your bill receives a favorable report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you for all your hard work. Norris Green, thank you. Lindsay, and a lot of work put into this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for recognizing them. They sure have.
Next bill, Ms. Harper.
In category 2 and 3 counties, salary may be set by the county commission.
Chairman Albritton, welcome.
I hope y'all are kind to me. Good afternoon. This bill is an attempt to provide a little bit more home rule to counties, in particular dealing with sheriff salaries, and it's to isolate or prevent or the larger counties, giving that opportunity to those with 2,000 population and above. There's been lots of discussion along with this, dealing not only with the sheriffs and the Sheriff's Association, but with the counties and the ACCA, even to the point of about before 7 a.m. this morning, okay? Which I don't know about y'all, but that's kind of early for me. But anyway, I think my intent is good on getting this through. I'd entertain any questions on it. But I will say that there is an amendment that's going to be coming in that we're working on that we do not have prepared and ready. The association would like to move this forward. Well, by the Sheriff's Association, I think, wants to move this forward. But others want to make sure that we have the language together before we get clogged up on the floor. I see a head shaking here. Mr. Sheriff, I might, if there was an opportunity to ensure that I have this window, which is closing quickly, to bring this back up before this body with the amendments prepared and ready to go, I would prefer that if I can have an assurance that we'll get that done, if the committee and chair would grant me that.
Okay, Chairman, I thought, and I've been involved in those conversations, I thought we were going to move the bill today with the agreements that we have that the bill will not move onto the calendar.
If that's what you'd like to do, that'd be fine with me. I'm
you're the
prepared to do
sponsor.
it. I don't want to do something without everyone knowing what we're doing and what's out there. But
And I think the amendment does not change the language other
does
than
not.
those that would participate in the bill.
No. And frankly, what it frankly does anticipate is changing it so that we have a clear delineation of the census that we're speaking of, the 2020 census. And I think there was one other portion that we're going to come in there, but it was nothing going to change the meaning or the intent of the bill.
Yes, sir. Representative Easterbrook.
These two levels, that's for 450,000 above and something else above.
Correct. Yeah.
Why? Why at those levels and not the others? I would like it for up to 50,000.
The reason, and I don't know another way of saying this, to prevent Andy Griffith, because when you have 50,000 or less, the propensity, and I've seen this, and you have too, where the sheriff is related to the probate judge, who is related to the clerk, who is related, you get into issues there that can cause nothing but trouble.
You have that in the bigger communities.
You could have, but less opportunity. That's why we selected the 200,000 population level, and that's when we're in the levels 2 and 3, which brings it from all the way down to the 200,000 level population and up. That's the intent.
Would you be opposed to putting it on there for up to 50,000? We basically do what they ask anyway. The county commission comes to us and passes a resolution and asks us to do it. So,
Look, this is in your committee, and y'all have the opportunity to do as you will. My goal is to help the counties and the sheriffs in particular in the area. My preference would be, as I've stated, but that's up to the legislative process.
And I think that's part of the ongoing conversations.
Exactly.
About who all would be approved under this.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Bracy.
Thank you. I guess I'm not in favor of moving the bill if we're trying to get it worked out, because we don't know what you're trying to work out. We don't know what the amendments are. And I know that you know that some of us have some concerns about what that's going to look like. It's even rumors of possibly moving one of the counties that's currently in this bill out of the bill, which will make it totally a local bill just to Mobile County. Like, it's a lot of uncertainty about it that I would think that we would want to know before we got on the floor.
Representative Bracy, I understand that, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to make sure that you understood where I am on this. I'm okay with what this body decides and wants to do.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with what we're doing.
Yes, sir. And also with the sheriffs being constitutional officers, it's my understanding that some county commissioners have some concerns about them setting the salary for the sheriff's office, which kind of go into play with some of what you were saying as well, with people that are relatives, people that are close, people that are friends, setting salaries for friends. And it just kind of brings some uncertainty into it. So I feel uncomfortable. Not that I'm against the sheriff getting a raise, of course. You know, I think the sheriffs need to be in line with other compatible sheriffs around the state. But it's a lot of uncertainty about the bill right now.
The only two changes that I anticipate is generally, as I mentioned, the census. The other is the limitation that a pay increase would only occur within one cycle, one election cycle, within one quadrennium.
Yes, sir. So is it any intent out there to remove Montgomery from this legislation?
No.
Okay, so it's not.
No. The intent is to keep this into, the definition would be, what's the class 2 and 3?
So it is going to remain class 2 and 3.
Correct.
It's just excuse me, Mr. Chair, it's just a definition of 2 and 3 based on the census.
Correct. The amendment would clarify that as 2 and 3 based on population of the 2020 census.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Bracy, are you good with that? I don't want to go against the committee here, and the chairman has led with saying he's fine with bringing it back. I mean, if you're uncomfortable with it.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay, if it pleases the body, then you're asking that you would carry it over till next week.
With the agreement or settlement, so that I can be sure to come back next week and get it moving. I don't want to lose the window of opportunity.
Right. And I think that's why we wanted to move it today, but I understand, respect the concerns of the committee, and we'll carry the bill over.
And I'll have the amendment prepared by the end of this week and have it to the committee members and such ahead of time, so we'll know what we're doing. Is that all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next bill, Ms. Harper.
Senate Bill 149 by Senator Orr, prisoners increases the money paid by the state to counties to feed prisoners and the money deposited into the emergency prisoner feeding fund.
Senator Orr, welcome.
Good to see you. So I brought my big voluminous file on this bill, but it seems like we had two versions floating around. I found out about one today in our F&T General Fund. Representative Lee has it that came upstairs. It moved to $325 per prisoner.
The original, excuse me,
Right
the
now-
original went from 225 to 325.
$325.
My understanding, y'all had some changes.
Yeah, so when my bill that was like Representative Lee came through the Senate committee, Senate chairman, who just left, was concerned about the cost with that and what the impact would be on the general fund. So we amended it to add, as you see in the version before you, basically 25 cents a year for the next 3 years, which would phase in the improvement. One of the questions that came up in committee was how much are we spending on state prisoner meals per day? And that figure is $2.81. So if that gives you a frame of reference of where we are on this. So when Representative Lee had his bill today, the chairman says, can we reduce it or get the bills in sync? And I hadn't had a chance to talk to Representative Lee, but that's kind of where we are. A phase in or rip the Band-Aid off and get there quickly, but it is more costly.
Well, I appreciate the intent of the bill because certainly the food cost, like everything else, is escalating out of control, quite frankly. Any questions by the members? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The bill receives a favorable report.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Chairman.
sir.
Thank you, members, for not treating me like my counterpart.
Last bill, Ms. Harper.
House Bill 438 by Representative Hollis, tobacco products, heated tobacco products definition and tax provided for.
Representative Hollis, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, and thank you and to the committee. HB 38 with the substitute. This bill recognized that heat not burn technology is different and less harmful than a cigarette that burns and produces smoke, which produces thousands of harmful and potentially harmful chemicals. Heated tobacco products are harm reduction alternative that provide adult smokers with a safer alternative than continuing to smoke cigarettes. As someone with a husband who smokes, and that's why I did the smoking ban bill, yes, against my husband, because of secondhand smoke, which is law now that you can't smoke in a car with kids. But anyway, we're talking about this. I wish something like this had been around for him a long time ago. I'm also happy because this product does not produce smoke, therefore does not produce secondhand smoke. The FDA recognizes that these products are appropriation for promotion of public health and are up to 99% less harmful than cigarettes. This is not a vape bill or a vape product. Again, this is not a vape bill or a vape product. These products are regulated by FDA, are not marketed to kids. Again, this is not marketed to kids and don't come in all types of fruity flavors that we see in the vapes. This bill creates a definition of heated tobacco products and taxes them at a lower rate than a cigarette. The reason for the reduced rate is to reflect the reduced harm profile of the product and help incentivize smokers to try a product that is less harmful. This purpose of the excise tax or sin tax is to discourage use of harmful products. Therefore, since the FDA's scientific review found these products to be significantly less harmful, we are offering an excise tax that is 50% less than the combustion cigarettes. Many states are already taxing these products lower, and we are modernizing our tax code to capture new and innovative products that are going through the proper channels to bring better options to smokers who can move down the continuous risk, having that risk. We are also going to protect some revenue while we embrace the healthy policy of harm reduction. This legislation contemplated revenue for cities and counties to ensure that they are able to capture a portion of this revenue through formulas provided by each in their associations that mirror their current cigarette tax model. This substitute is the produce of an agreement with the Department of Revenue, which sets the rate at 50% of cigarettes and all that fluctuate. The original bill had a step-down approach to the tax structure, decreasing over time. The substitute also clearly defines heated tobacco products in the appropriate code section to that does not interfere with the master settlement agreement and ensures these products are subject to all regulatory and enforcement provision. And basically, this bill is to give smokers another alternate in order to also to help them to stop smoking and make it safer for them to smoke. And it does not have secondhand smoke. And this product is not marketed toward children. And it would be better for our children because they don't have to inhale secondhand smoke that they do now.
Representative Hollis, let's stop right there since you've commented on the sub, and let's adopt the sub before the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion on sub? I have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Oppose? Okay, the sub is adopted, and if you could, we'll start the public hearing now.
Yes, sir.
And on proponents, I'll call up Jake Jacobs with PMI first. Mr. Jacobs.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jake Jacobs. I'm with Philip Morris International, speaking in support of HB 438. This legislation that we're bringing here in the House represents a team approach to coming up with a solution that works and satisfies all the provision of both the state, localities, consumers, and businesses who would have a hand in implementing something like this. And I want to thank everyone who worked hard on this in this effort to modernize the tax code and reflect the options that are out there for adult smokers. We know technology is changing at a rapid pace. For today, we were talking about products that underwent years of research and development and billions of dollars in investment to find a way to help current adult smokers switch to something that causes less harm and exposes them to less risk. What we found when we went throughout that effort was that by removing combustion and therefore the smoke, that you remove almost all of the harmful or potentially harmful chemicals that are only there by virtue of the combustion and the chemical changes that take place when smoke is inhaled and exhaled. These products are called heated tobacco products, or they may be called heat not burn systems. And it's now available in 80 countries and coming to the U.S. This year. In order for a new tobacco product like this that isn't part of an existing category to come to the U.S., you have to go through an FDA authorization process. And when the company I represent did that, we went through 2 layers of approval. First was a pre-market tobacco application. That means that we can talk about the product as being appropriate for the protection of public health. And then we went and got a level higher of authorization. That's called a modified risk tobacco product authorization. That means we can talk to consumers in terms of this product being appropriate for the promotion of public health. We also had to demonstrate to the FDA that this product was not appealing to adults who do not currently smoke and that it would not be appealing or marketed to youth. We were able to satisfy those requirements, which do not stop when that authorization is granted. They conduct ongoing reviews and monitor our adherence to all marketing orders and business practices. Like Representative Hollis said, this legislation creates a new product category by narrowly defining heated tobacco products and imposing an excise tax when they are sold in Alabama. Excise taxes are an important way to discourage people from engaging in risky and harmful behavior, but they can also be used to help encourage people to choose something that is less harmful and less risky. So these products are not risk-free. The FDA in their scientific review concluded that when you look at the harmful and potentially harmful constituents and the effects on the body, that reduced risk profile falls between 90 and 99% less harmful. So what's been proposed in this version of the bill, which, like I said, has had a lot of folks review and agree with this, is at a rate that is 50% less than that of a cigarette. That's still going to generate revenue. There are still, with the support of the counties and municipalities and Department of Revenue, provisions that make sure that this is treated correctly, that all of the regulatory and enforcement provisions are marked and that they are all buttoned up and that we cross-reference everywhere we need to for them to do their jobs. But it's important that we provide this clarity to businesses and to the state, but also signal to consumers that there's alternatives out there. So this is a good, sound public policy framework. It keeps these products out of the hands of kids, holds tobacco companies, including our own, accountable to their obligations under the Master Settlement Agreement, and gives adult smokers in Alabama an off-ramp to cigarettes. So I urge you to support the bill, and I'm happy to take questions, Mr. Chair, if there are any.
Any questions, Representative Mooney?
So, a couple of things. Is this or is this not FDA approved? I heard you talk about preliminary and another level above. Is this product FDA approved?
Yes, and the only distinction I'll point there for any tobacco product, it's authorized, not approved. So this has 2 levels of authorization. Those were achieved in 2019, 2020, and 2021 and are still active today.
Well, I've obviously been a proponent of getting rid of smoking cigarettes and the whole process, having seen the damage it's done in my own family. However, I've got a question because it seems that where we are is we did this work with vape, and vape was to help eliminate the number of smokers, but now it appears vaping is like 2 to 1 over smoking. Is this going to be another product that just simply goes up, and though it doesn't provide secondhand smoke, it continues to increase the number of people who were using, they're going to a different level? It almost just seems like it's a lot of marketing, but I was curious if it is actually that question, but also curious if it's actually taking off any tax that would be currently owned that would have any effect on the 12 children's agencies and roughly 400,000 children that were impacted in relation to previous legislation. And then I've got one more question.
Sure, I'll go ahead and answer the ones you've asked and appreciate the question. I too have family members who were smokers. I grew up here in Montgomery and held my grandmother's hand when she passed from lung cancer. So the things that this company is doing very much resonated for me, and the reason that I wanted to come support policy like this. To answer your question about what happened with vapes and how, while cigarette smoking overall has decreased, we've seen this massive increase in vapes, and how will this fit into that model? We've seen this in markets where it's more mature. It's pretty slow to take hold because it's really only attractive to folks who are current smokers. The experience of it, the taste of it, the price point of it is all in a range that wouldn't be attracted to you. Whereas with vapes, you had fruity flavors. I think there's been allegations of marketing and things that they got it in the hands of kids and all that. To the point about would this have an impact on existing revenues that are going towards vital agencies and the 400,000 children in Alabama? No, this is simply going to be its own category, which will generate revenue and will not impact any funding that's currently going to help any agency or locality.
I guess the final question would be one in relation to, we just passed legislation to stop children from using vaping products. Is there, in this bill, because it's a substitute, and I had not seen the substitute, is there anything in here that prohibits this from being available to children? I understand what you're saying, that it's not something they want to use, but in discretion of trying to take care of children, is there something in here that completely bans their use of the product?
Appreciate it. All of the references that we did throughout the code there make sure that it's subject to all provisions of any age-restricted tobacco or nicotine product. So that would include T21, meaning that this product can only be sold to or made available to adults who are over 21. And also at the federal level and at the FDA level, it also has those requirements where we have to show ongoing and continuous efforts to bar this from getting into the hands of children. So, yes, sir.
Appreciate you answering the questions. I obviously just have a concern about this whole area having lost family members to it, and some of them as young as childhood ages. So.
Representative Easterbrook, you're recognized.
On the revenue side, are you currently selling this stuff in Alabama?
We're not. No, sir. We received the license to sell this product on April 30th, actually. And sometime in the future, it will become available in Alabama to sell. So that's why we're trying to get ahead of it, establish a tax structure so that when it hits Department of Convenience stores, everyone knows how it's going to be treated and it can be regulated and enforced against those regulations.
But if the idea is people do this instead of smoking, and you give them a 50% tax break, aren't you reducing the revenue that's generated from it?
So you could, so what you're saying, if this works the way it's supposed to, where each new user of this product is one less cigarette smoker, would that have an impact, or what would the impact be on revenue generated from cigarette smoke? And over time, and time being multiple quadrenniums from now, you would start to see that. However, what this also does, Alabama spends in the ballpark of $2.19 billion a year on treating smoking-related disease. There's a number. There's also around 16% of Alabamians who are adults smoke. The cost of Medicaid alone for Alabama as it relates to smoking-related disease is in excess of $300 million. So when we look at the potential for that to decrease over time, it's going to far outweigh any small delta you see between cigarette revenue, which, one of the effects of the decrease in cigarettes would be a loss in revenue, but we all, if we could wave a magic wand and not have cigarettes, I think we all would.
So is there not nicotine in this?
There is nicotine in it, and that's...
So you're basically eliminating the smoke, but you're still sucking the nicotine right into your lungs. So how is it going to change that is my question.
Sure. So having nicotine and nicotine even at levels that is close to that of cigarettes is really important for the successful conversion rates. What we found is when smokers try a new product and it's not delivering the same nicotine, that they are very unlikely to switch away from it. So getting as close as you can is where you see, in Japan, we had a 72% success rate of folks who switched completely away from smoking by using IQOS. And nicotine replacement therapies like the gum and patches, they're single-digit % success. So it's really important that you're able to deliver that, or people will just keep smoking.
So my question then would be, how do you expect the health issues to go down if the nicotine's still going in the lungs?
Sure. So nicotine, and this is scientifically accepted throughout the medical community. Nicotine itself is not the agent that causes smoking-related disease and things that come with that. It's the actual smoke in cigarettes. So nicotine is still addictive, and this product does contain nicotine, and there's still risk associated with that, but it's so much lower than the 7,000 constituents that are produced in smoke that are inhaled and exhaled, that's why we were able to say that this is appropriate for the promotion of public health at the population level with our FDA's authorization.
Thank you.
Representative Moody.
One other question. You were talking about the nicotine and the level of it. It makes total sense what you're saying because that's the habit forming part of it. But if nicotine's involved, is that not a significant part of it being a tobacco product and it should be taxed at that level?
It certainly is a tobacco product. It contains tobacco and it contains nicotine. So that's why applying it to an excise tax structure as opposed to just sales tax, this would be an additional tax on top of the sales tax that this would be subjected to. So not trying to get around, the acknowledgement that there is risk associated with this or that it's not a product that contains tobacco or nicotine, but we know how much less harmful it is than cigarettes. So that's where we arrived at a level of that additional excise tax that's just lower than a cigarette.
So do the taxes that would be generated as a result of this balance out against the reduction in smokers in relation to what's going for children's programs out of this tobacco settlement process now? Are we reducing anything to the point that any of those programs for children would be any less under this as they would have been previously?
Sure. No, it's still going to generate revenue to the extent that there were to be an accelerated decline in cigarette rates. One, that would take years to happen, and we know that based on other markets where this has been. And two, there's still going to be revenue generated, and then there's going to be an offset in the future of health savings. But there will be no upset to those overarching funds, those coming from the master settlement into these programs, from current revenue into these programs. This is not going to be an upset, certainly in the medium to short term here.
I get why this is here as far as the taxes we're talking about. My chairman will kill me for saying this, but it throws a question in my mind: why has this not come through the health committee as well for a discussion on the effects of it in relation to adults, young adults, children, the progression, the process, all of that?
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Opponent Katie Jeter with Children First.
Mr. Chairman and committee, thank you all for letting me speak today. Children First Trust Fund, I'm sure you've all heard of it. The Children First Trust Fund each year allocates over $40 million of the Alabama tobacco tax settlement money directly to children's programs. And these programs are programs that happen across our state, include a few of them. There's 12 state agencies that receive funds, but 2 of those, I'll just say quickly, are the Department of Child Abuse and Neglect Prevention, DHR, and 10 other state agencies. I have a list of those if you'd like me to give you those. This money is directly benefiting children, your grandchildren, and children in your districts and in your backyard. The biggest issue that we have, I have glanced at the sub. I have not had time to dissect the sub and read into it. However, as the bill stood, the way we read it originally, this money would reducing the tobacco tax on those products would reduce money out of the Children First Trust Fund money, which directly over time will affect our children and will affect those children's programs. On top of that, just like we've talked about, we are also fighting this huge issue with vape in children, and the issue that we have at hand is that it was also marketed identically to how this product's being marketed. It was saying it was safe, it was going to get people off smoking, but as we see, we're not only seeing people smoking vapes at 3, 4, 5 times the rate they're smoking cigarettes, we're also seeing one child take a puff of a vape and pass away because of that issue. And so, as Children First stands before you, we are asking for you to oppose this legislation because we don't need one more product to enter our market to affect our children. We don't need one more issue to deal with on top of the multiple issues we are already with vape products and the issues at hand today. So thank you for hearing me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Jeter. Proponent, Philip Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Philip Bryan. We represent Philip Morris International, and I generally operate under the guise that lobbyists should be seen and not heard at public hearings. But this issue is pretty passionate or pretty important to me, not only because we represent the company, but because of my health history and tobacco use. But I want to address a couple of things. There is not one vape that's been FDA authorized in the country today. So when you look at this product, it's $80, $60 to $80. You can't buy the device in a gas station. You can buy the sticks, the heat sticks, in a gas station, but you have to buy the device in an IQOS store. So you have to go in and they say, are you a tobacco smoker? Are you a smoker? You say no, they tell you to go on about your way. This product's not for you. This product is for smokers. And it's important that the nicotine delivery is there just the same way it is that Zen was there when I was a Copenhagen user for 30 years and got throat cancer. Let me tell you, there's a lot associated with getting cancer, and there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of things you go through, but having something to still give me what I needed that I know wasn't hurting me any further, like tobacco was something that I wish was there 30 years ago. And I know that we can get lost in numbers and dollars, but what we have here is something that could give a smoker the same feelings that they get without the harm. When you look at the pictures, it's pretty simple. One's a donut, one's an orange. When you look at the filter after you smoke a cigarette versus the filter after you take a puff off an IQOS, one is white, one is black. And it's a little bit disturbing to have some of the organizations here that are standing on the side of the cigarette companies in the name of health. Because I think we all know that cigarette smoking is not healthy. And so if we want to discourage alternatives, that's what the policy of this legislature is going to be, then I think we really need to look at truly where we want to be as a society, because I think that's the wrong approach. But at the same time, there are other cigarette companies that have recognized publicly that risk-based taxation is the policy way to go. So for them to stand here and say that it's not is going to be disingenuous. They've also recognized that the IQOS device is nothing like a cigarette because it does not combust. And that's an important distinction. We thank you for your time. I hope that you will see this policy, read the sub over the weekend, and we can come back next week and discuss it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Opponent, Ashley Lowerly. Did I say that right? You can correct me if I'm wrong. American Lung Association.
Yes. Thank you and good afternoon. And before I start, if you would allow me. So good afternoon, Chair Reynolds and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts on House Bill 438. Unfortunately, the American Lung Association, as you might imagine, is opposed to this bill in its current form. The bill would create a new definition in Alabama tobacco control statute for heated tobacco products and tax them. Obviously, we've had a sub introduced today that I haven't had the chance to read. But the American Lung Association strongly advocates for heated tobacco products to be taxed at the same rate as cigarettes to ensure that these products are unattainable to youth and young adults. Additionally, the tax should account for the impact these products will have on youth and young adults and the health of our residents and economy when they become on the market in the U.S. You may be wondering, what is a heated tobacco product? Well, heated tobacco products are the latest attempt by the tobacco industry to addict kids to nicotine. They're essentially heated cigarettes that use low temperature combustion to heat processed commercial tobacco leaves. They're operated by inserting a tobacco stick, which basically looks like a cigarette, into the device that's heated to create an inhalable substance that contains nicotine and other harmful chemicals. One of the most well-known products of these is the IQOS, which is manufactured by Philip Morris International. These products have taken over the global market, but have slowly been tested in markets in the US, like Atlanta, Charlotte, and Richmond, in boutique-like stores. IQOS devices and accompanying heat sticks retail for around $80, and once users own the device, purchasing the heat sticks is approximately $5.75 for a pack of 20. As you'll see in the handout, they are packaged and priced just like cigarettes. The tobacco industry has a track record of instituting promotional price strategies and to lower product prices. This legislation does exactly that. It will give heated tobacco products a beneficial tax treatment to reduce the price compared to other tobacco products to make them more attainable for consumers. These products, when available in Alabama, will be priced to attract youth. No tobacco product, including these products, are safe. Tobacco companies claim that they're less harmful than conventional cigarettes, but there's little evidence to demonstrate that claim, especially in the long term. Heated tobacco products carry serious health risks. More research is certainly needed to better understand the health harms caused. But early clinical studies examining the effects of IQOS products, their emissions, found evidence of cell poisoning and inflammation in lung cells, which could lead to lung damage, as well as impaired cardiovascular disease function. Philip Morris International markets IQOS products as a non-combustible tobacco product. However, there is evidence of pyrolysis, which is a critical step of combustion. Pyrolysis is the degradation of organic compounds in the absence of oxygen. Heated tobacco products should be taxed as cigarettes and regulated within Alabama's tobacco control statute. The proposed tax at 50% of cigarettes, which I believe is what's in the substitute, will not have any public health benefit to combat the health and economic burden of health addiction in Alabama. We respectfully request that heated tobacco products be treated as cigarettes and taxed at the same rate. Thank you so much for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lowerly. Hearing none, we'll move to Jane Adams, American Cancer Society. Welcome, Ms. Adams.
Hi, good to see everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Jane Adams, and I'm the Government Relations Director for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. And I'm here on behalf of the 30,000 Alabama residents who will be diagnosed with cancer this year and the 10,000 that will die from the disease to testify in opposition to this bill. ACS-CAN, the nonprofit, nonpartisan advocacy affiliate of the American Cancer Society, advocates for public policies to end cancer as we know it for everyone, including policies targeted at improving the health of our state by reducing tobacco use. Unfortunately, this bill would do the opposite. ACS-CAN strongly opposes this bill, which would create a new category of tobacco products in the tax code of heated tobacco products and exempt them from taxation. Exempting a tobacco product from taxation makes it more appealing to price-sensitive consumers, including youth. In 2023, 370,000 students nationwide reported ever using heated tobacco products. All tobacco products, including heated tobacco products, are unsafe and should be taxed and regulated in the same manner to encourage people who use tobacco products to quit and to keep youth from ever starting. Increasing tobacco taxes is one of the most effective ways to reduce tobacco use, especially amongst kids, and tobacco companies know it. Exempting tobacco products from taxation and therefore lowering the price of products is one major way for the tobacco industry to protect their bottom line, addict people to cheap products, and keep them addicted. And the last time I checked, Philip Morris did sell cigarettes. No product is safe. No tobacco product is safe. Heated tobacco products contain nicotine, which is addictive, and other toxic cancer-causing chemicals that can cause serious health problems. And these serious health problems have shown to be toxic for people. In addition, the smoke released from the heated tobacco products have been shown to contain the same toxic compounds, nicotine, tar, carbon monoxide, and tobacco-specific nitrosamines, all of which have been shown to cause harm. ACS CAN urges you to protect kids, not big tobacco's profits, and oppose efforts to eliminate taxes on any tobacco products, including on heated tobacco products. We urge you to vote no on this bill to protect the health of Alabamians, and I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you.
No
Representative
comment.
Easterbrook.
I don't think Philip Morris does sell cigarettes anymore.
Philip Morris USA sure does. Marlboro, yeah. And Philip Morris International, I mean, this is a cigarette. What you're being told today, this tobacco product, it is really a cigarette.
That I'm not arguing at all.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Any
see,
other
there we go.
questions, members? Representative Mooney.
Is it regulated by the FDA as a cigarette, or how does the FDA regulate it? And I know
Who are we asking the question to?
regulations in relation to approvals, but haven't a large quantity of vape products received FDA regulation approval, or I'm not quite sure what the terminology is. They haven't been FDA approved, but they're in that category of they're allowed. Sorry that I'm.
Okay, I'll allow someone to come forward to, yes, sir, to answer that question, then that will conclude the public hearing.
Hey, Representative Mooney, appreciate your question. So the question of have any vapor products received an authorization from the FDA? Sure. So that's, I talked about the two levels of approval. There's pre-market tobacco application, PMTA, and MRTP. There are a handful that have received a PMTA, but there are none that have received an MRTP, which is the higher level of authorization that are for products that are appropriate for the promotion of public health.
So do they treat it as a cigarette, or what do they treat it as?
So the FDA, in their first authorizations, they had the category of cigarette, subcategory of heated cigarette for the first SKUs that they considered. Then in 2021, they changed their product category to heated tobacco product, and that will be what it is ongoing. And Customs and Border Patrol also created that category for import and export of the product. And most, if not all, countries where this is sold have created that category so that it can be properly captured and regulated.
Ms. Hall, do you have a question?
I think my question is, I've heard each one of the groups that spoke in opposition concerned about the funding. And I was trying to, one, I heard that it was less funding for the, whatever fund that it goes to.
Children First.
Children First. But if you don't have it, I mean, if it's not in it, it seems that it would be increasing. Am I missing something? If this is another product that's added, it would increase the funding. Nobody seems to be opposed to the funding, from what I'm hearing.
Please, I don't want to add to the conversation.
The bill as it read to begin with, it did decrease the funding they were not putting some of the taxes into the master settlement agreement, which that money is the $40 million. Well, there's more than $40 million that's in that settlement, but $40 million goes to children directly. And so with the bill read it to begin with, like I said, I've not had a chance to fully read the sub because there's a lot of language in there that as just a nonprofit that works for children, we don't have all the definitions and things. We are looking at that, but as it read to begin with, they were not including the taxes in that master settlement agreement funding.
When you say they, so where was the funding going?
Basically, this product, what they're trying to do, Philip Morris International, what they're doing with this product is they're trying to make it its own category of a tobacco product. They're trying to categorize it by itself. So you have all the cigarettes, all of the vapes, all of the other tobacco products in one category, and they're trying to categorize this one as its own. And so what they're trying to do with that is they're trying to say, because we believe as Philip Morris International, this product is safer for you, it should be in its own category. But the reality is, it's like a mini. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you. There's groups here that have that product here in the room. The product looks like a mini cigarette. And the issue with it is if you take it out of that tobacco settlement area for us, is that that's reducing money that goes directly to children. Because unfortunately, people are going to smoke. And so the reality is that, especially with children, we don't need even more products entering the market that are negatively affecting them. Especially, we have no idea what this product even is. It's not even in the U.S. yet. It's only in countries outside of the United States. And so,
Thank you.
I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out if the funding is not there already, how it was reducing. I hear you. Thank you.
This concludes the public hearing. And Ms. Hall, you want to recognize your pages?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I have visiting with me today Madison Saley, who is a student at Grace Lutheran. She's in the 8th grade. And Jacoby McGee, who is a 9th grader at Sparkman High School.
Thank you. And members, the plan right now is to bring the general fund and related bills to this committee on April the 30th on a Tuesday. So we will not meet on Wednesday that week. So certainly if you're carrying one of the budget-related bills, be prepared to discuss that bill that day. And if nobody has anything, we'll adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.